Welcome to the Neuromasters Podcast, the place to reinvent yourself, master your mind, and change your life. Internationally recognized speaker, coach, and trainer Reg Malhotra will teach you tools to improve your mindset, change your behaviors, and let your relationships thrive. Are you ready to unlock the power of your mind? Here's your host, Reg.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Now, today I want to talk about a very common question that I get from students and clients who are wanting to make changes in their life, who are wanting to improve their outcomes, they're wanting to get better results or move on from something. And one of the very, very common things that not only holds people back, but limits their ability to make new changes in their life, bring something new into their life, is their experiences from the past. Now, the past is a very interesting thing, and there is so much out there about people being affected by past events. And this is quite real. It's very real. It's something that needs to be acknowledged, something that needs to be recognized. And it also needs to be known that there are such effective ways to have a better relationship with the past. Because here's what happens for a lot of people. We have experiences in our life that are not always positive. In fact, most, if not everybody, has some major negative experiences from the past. And these experiences, they can have a lifelong impact on us in a negative way, or they can have a moderate impact, or they can also have a positive impact. But what happens is when these negative experiences become so much part of our story that we look at them or we refer to them or we think about them over and over again in making new decisions in our life, because that means we're making decisions from who we used to be. Now, a lot of people, they like to talk about their past. They like to reminisce. They like to think about things that used to be, and they keep bringing it up, sometimes in somewhat like a fun manner. Remember when we used to do this? Remember when we used to do that? Remember that's what Dad used to say, and that's what... It may sound positive and fun many a times, but I think what's important to understand there is that there is a desire, somewhat of a desire, even where it sounds positive and fun, for things to go back to how they were. And if we are constantly wanting things to be the way they were, it leaves lesser energy available to create a future. Because if we always think that the past should be a certain way, how it used to be, then we're not truly wanting things to be different in the future. And so we're looking for that familiarity. And in reality, we cannot really have that the way it used to be. Now, that's one side of the equation. The other side is when our experiences have been so negative from the past that is affecting our ability to create a different life, a positive life that is not an outcome of the old stories. You see, when these negative experiences happen from the past, we develop stories. We develop stories about ourselves, about others, about possibilities, about life. We run pictures of these past events. We might talk about them. We might feel emotions in our body when we think about the past. And all of these things, they utilize energy. And this energy is almost being used to keep the past alive. And when that's not the case any longer, and that's the exact energy we need to create a more compelling future. So if you think of your nervous system needing energy to help you create a new future, it also needs energy to keep something from the past alive. And if all the energy that's available, or most of the energy, is being utilized to keep the past alive, there's not that much left to create a new future. Wouldn't you agree? This area of this discussion on the past and how it impacts us can be discussed over multiple episodes. But what I want to impress upon listeners today is how important it is for you to make a decision about creating new stories. You see, these ideas we adopt and we develop from what happened to us in the past. I know there are many things that happened in my life that I created a lot of stories about myself from, about my ability, about my abilities, about my potential, about what I can and cannot be. And it wasn't until I started to let go of these stories and, understand and learn from the past events in such a way that it gave me more fuel for the future. I wasn't really able to create the life I wanted until I was able to do that. And I see this every way. I mean, I hear this all the time, how much people blame their current circumstances for what happened in the past. They talk about the people that affected them. They could live their entire life just talking about one or two people who affected them negatively. And I can imagine it's never that easy, especially when you had a major significant emotional event. However, the decision to let go of those stories, let go of that energy that remains between you and perhaps the person or the situation that had happened, is really, really the only way to create or to create a newer life, a life that you're more happy, fulfilled with, because otherwise you're just reliving what has happened in the past. This has a major impact, by the way, on one's mental health, on one's ability to give to others, is in one's ability to even contemplate new possibilities. But if all we do is we point the finger, we look at what went wrong, we talk about why, I'm unfortunate that it happened to me, and, this is what's held me back, the more we are keeping these stories alive, these limitations alive. And the good news is there is plenty of ways to work on this old energy so that we're able to turn our heads in the right direction, which is towards the future. Throughout my life, I think I would say as many as 8 out of 10 people have a very, very strong connection with their past. And on the surface, it all looks good until you drill down a little bit more and you find out that the past is being used to create so many conclusions about oneself and about one's options that ultimately it even leads to certain behaviors of self-protection and not taking certain chances, not taking certain risks, whether in relationships, whether in going after one's dreams. The past can be a very powerful destroyer, or it can be a very powerful enabler. I think I've been saying that in a number of episodes, and something I'm very, very passionate about, because I have experienced so much from the past that should have crippled. It's part of the reason why I even do what I do today, is because I know, and I've seen it too many times to ever doubt the power of reframing the past so one can refresh the present and reclaim a completely new future. So if you're somebody who is being affected negatively by your past, I want you to know that you have the ability to use your past as fuel, to use your past as an enabler because of what it taught you, what you learned from it. And I know some of these things could be really bad, but there is always something, there is some powers or some abilities or some resilience that if you look deep enough, you'll realize you've developed, that have allowed you to become who you are, and so much more that you can be. And that's my message today, is that throughout our life, we will come across or will experience things that are not always positive. If we can develop ourselves to be the kind of person who deals with these situations in such a way that they give us more power and more fuel and more abilities to move forward, then no matter what happens, that thinking structure, that frame of mind alone will become your greatest asset. You see, the worst day of your life could be the best day of your life if you choose to give it a new, empowering meaning. There are tools to be able to do that. I don't believe anybody should have to spend their entire life being a negative outcome of what has happened in their past. As long as you're wanting to move forward, as long as you are willing to let go of the stories, as long as you are willing to adopt the belief that everything can change, then this is possible for you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give this some really good thought. What are some areas in your life? What are some events in your life that you know you can learn from, you can get some very positive learnings from, you can reflect upon and realize who it's allowed you to become and who it can allow you to become even more of? Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in today. Are you ready to take the next step and find out what's keeping you from reaching your goals and creating the life you want? Go to go.neuromastersacademy.com/GS-LP for a free transformational mini workshop with Reg. See you next week.